What is going on? It is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. We're talking about 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now. Good week as far as basketball, as far as the game delegation. Just an 8-gamer set with 7 yesterday. I think tomorrow is like 7 or 8. Good Goldilocks week for sure. When it comes to not too many games, not too few games. The amount of games are just right. The amount of injuries might be too much. I don't know. There's a lot of body parts, a lot of players that are ill. It feels like it's March. We're going to do our best here. Myself, Tasteful Tides, Tim Buell. There's probably going to be news dropping throughout the show, if not our portion of the show. Crunch time coming in about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 10 minutes. Lots of news waiting to be dropped on us because, the slate can be flipped on its head multiple times. Of course, Philadelphia without Paul George, no PG-13, no Joel Embiid. The Pacers currently have two of their big names. Miles Turner is sick. Lots of players are sick this time of year. He's questionable. We saw the Joker get sick last night, downgraded to questionable last night. Questionable already today. That's a late game too. Plan accordingly. Halliburton also questionable with an ankle. Washington playing the back half of a back-to-back. They're rolling players out. The Pelicans are always injured. We saw Zion, and poof, just like that, he's gone, at least for one more game. He can't play back-to-back. See what can bust. Denver, New Orleans, Washington, all the back half of a back-to-back tonight. Cleveland, at least Cleveland will tell you, we have a possible NBA Finals preview. The Cavs taking on OKC. The Thunder, they're in the front half of a back-to-back, as is the Raptors, the Pistons, the Blazers. Tim, there's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. Writing the survey today, being a part of that, doing rankings. And I do my best to circle back. And as always, if you have premium content, what you want to do is Lineup HQ. That is the most updated information, the most on top of things. But I got a feeling that the conversation we're going to have, it's going to be a flowing conversation and a never-changing conversation because there's lots of news we're waiting for. How are things? How are things, Tim?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Dean. A lot of people don't like this part of the NBA, but I actually kind of like it because there's always a bunch of, moving pieces as the night goes on. I understand that sometimes that can be frustrating, but I think that is where your biggest edge is kind of like knowing where to put those pieces, and late swap is absolutely enormous. So that's definitely going to be a thing this evening. We're going to see a ton of news. We've already had a ton of news. There's a lot to break down, and then there's a lot of things that we have to discuss when it comes to late swapping.
Yeah, a lot going on. I only mentioned some of the stuff. Cat missed last game. He has that knee. He's questionable for New York. Zion, again, he came back last night, looked really good, but they're not going to play him in a back-to-back right away. DeJounte Murray is also questionable. Maybe they're just going to give CJ McCollum like a full-fledged revenge game. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they say, yeah, CJ, have at it against your former team. Jeremy Sohan's out. Denny Avdija is questionable. Kyle Kuzma, he played a really good first quarter yesterday, and he's like, that's it. I'm good. He left, and I don't think he came back in the second half. Bub Carrington, some call him Carlton. He's questionable as well. Sarr is questionable. Just a lot of stuff going on. And the interesting thing is, and I think we'll talk about this too, is that you can fill up a lot of spots early with Philadelphia. Philadelphia playing at 7 o'clock. We might get some Washington stuff that opens them up. We might get Indiana that opens them up. And I think it's a good overall strategy. We're going to go game by game, obviously, Tim. But I'm just curious your thoughts on that. Because, theoretically, you can play 3 or 4 Sixers. You can play a Wizard, depending on how things open up, maybe 2. And as far as Indiana, if we lose Miles Turner, if we lose Halliburton, if we lose them both, if we lose Turner, Obi Toppin, if we lose Miles Turner, Halliburton, TJ McConnell is just incredibly priced. He would be one of the best value plays on the slate, and even guys like Mathurin are fine already as is. Just sort of have you thought about that as far as just filling out your lineup, because you can theoretically kind of be done really early, and then what if Joker doesn't play? There's still some news waiting to be dropped. What if Cat doesn't play? Now, I don't know if there's a direct, like we saw last time, Precious played, Sims played, but now that we're necessary, that they play a little bit more. Have you thought about that? Have you got that far ahead? If you have Joker in your lineup, you can certainly pivot to Giannis or Wemby. That's something you can do if you want to have Joker as like a holding piece, that kind of thing. They're all later on. That's the back half of the ESPN doubleheader. I believe it's San Antonio, Milwaukee, Giannis versus Wemby. That's a fun one. The first one is OKC, Cleveland. So some good basketball tonight. Some good basketball and some bad basketball, whatever you prefer. Do you have like an overall plan for this, or are you just kind of winging it?
Yeah, I mean, we're already getting like questions in the chat about how many Sixers to play, in cash. It's definitely going to be the most it's probably one of the most important decisions on the entire night is how do you play Philadelphia with all of this news pending. I do know. I know this is super obvious. I do know that I'm locking in Tyrese Maxey no matter what. I don't see. I mean, he's at 12.35 RG value. That's absurd. I mean, that's a really big number for somebody who's close to 9K. So I don't see a world in which where I don't play Tyrese Maxey. I think it's pretty close that I can say that about Kelly Oubre. We're also getting questions about Yabusele, and then
Martin's another one,
right? And then Martin's popping in optimals also. So as it sits right now, I probably would play cap it at 4, but I'd probably get like min 3 Philly, max 4. That's assuming we get no news. But if we get news, then hopefully maybe we can kind of diversify a little bit and get off of some of this Philly stuff. But I don't really see a world where I'm going to be getting off of Tyrese Maxey and probably Kelly Oubre as well.
Yeah, I don't want to speak in definitives, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have no more than 3 Philly. Just because
you want to have that flexibility, which is I think that's a good take. Like in a vacuum, I would play 4.
Mm-hmm.
But because this is one of the early games, I'm glad that I am clarifying this. Because this is an early game, I might just cap it at 3. But I would still probably min to it though, even if I didn't have all the news.
Yeah, and the Maxey thing is weird, and we'll talk about that game in a second. But I was surprised. I ran the court IQ stuff, and you kick Embiid off the court, you kick PG-13 off the court, and his stuff didn't really change tremendously. Like I still think he's going to be awesome, and he should be great because it's the old perfect storm of losing, the 2 top teammates, and you're facing Washington, and he should thrive. Our projection is monstrous on him. It really is. In Washington, we can dig into it as far as how they bleed, fantasy points to their opponents, but I think he's an interesting fade for tournaments. I know you're saying that to lock him in, but the stuff we play, single entry, 3 entry max, like he's probably going to be Maxey and 3 entry max. I don't know, 80% owned or something goofy like that.
Yeah, I would say 70. And so you're saying that you might be fading Oubre?
No, I'm saying I might not play Maxey.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't want to say that for certain, but it's an idea I'm kind of bouncing around in my head, and I think, and Maxey can, score 35 points and get like 7 assists or something like that. He's not a big rebound guy, and he can put up like 50 fantasy points, and I could play SGA and he could put up 70. I'm just sort of thinking like different ways like that, and there's other cheapies too. New Orleans, Brandon Boston, especially on DK where he's 3-4. We talked about New Orleans resting some players in the back half of a back-to-back. We're not even sure if Murray's going to play. We know that Murphy's out. We know that Zion's going to be out. Castle for San Antonio is another cheapie. It just feels like star scrubs, and it might even get more star scrubsy as information comes in, mostly pending on Indiana. Is that kind of where you're at? Like that's sort of where I'm at, where I feel like at least 2 stars, and we'll see. We'll go from there. But
how do you rank? If Murray sits, how do you rank McCollum versus Maxey?
Oh, I'm curious how that would project out. Well, isn't McCollum like distinctly cheaper? He's at least like 1K cheaper, right? I think he is.
I lost my spot here. He's 89 to McCollum's 8. He's 900
Okay.
cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, but that's I'll see what projections say. But like, if projections are telling me that Maxey is like a much better play, then I would be fine. I think playing McCollum instead. We saw he has the ability still. He got loose a week ago or so. He dropped 50 on somebody. I don't recall who it was, but he put 50 points in the bucket. I think Joker sits for what it's worth. I don't know. I don't know, but I think he sits. But who knows? We saw last night that Dario Saric drew the start. He was horrendous. Bench guys did much better against Zubac. I can see them like giving the one last DeAndre Jordan revenge game. Kind of need a big boy against Zubac. I don't know.
But how many minutes? How many minutes would he play though, Jordan? Like not more than 20.
We're projecting. I think I saw the if then.
Okay.
And I think we're projecting like 18. And I think he can get. I think he can get a little more than that. Now I'm not saying that's likely. Producer Steve right on cue, given the DeAndre Jordan face playing. I think he could play like 23, 24, possibly. I don't. The other part of it is I don't know how necessary he is. Right? It's just the way the slate kind of lines up. We have enough cheapies. I'm not sure if he's the one you want, and also you have to kind of plan for that, right? Because who knows when we get the Joker news? Probably going to get it late.
I'd rather play Peyton Watson anyway.
Yeah, I mean he was fabulous last night. Russ could be interesting. I mean, if you have the patience to wait out, like a Giannis versus Wemby lineup seems like a lot of fun that nobody's going to do. I don't think people are running like Giannis against Wemby. I don't think that's really happening at all. Some Giannis, sure, but very, very little Wemby. That's a 9:30 game, the last game on the night. Just a lock. Brooklyn might have 8 players. Like, I don't know. They might be down to 8, possibly, depending on is it 9 or 8? I think they have somebody that's questionable. And if I'm looking at their actual players, we can talk about this as
isn't Sharp questionable?
I believe so. I'm pulling it up now, and
an illness.
Yeah. So it's possible they're going to run out 8. You basically know, no matter how ugly this game gets, you can pick a couple guys and say those guys are sticking around, and 2 of those starters have to close too, and you can kind of guess, I think, who they would be. So it's another kind. It's a big old mess.
So you're saying I have to play Tyrese Martin again?
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying like Tyrese Martin, Keon Johnson. These guys are really their roles are solid because they kind of, especially if we lose Sharp. Reese Beekman. I'm not saying to play Reese Beekman, but he would be for sure close if this game gets ugly, and he's got to get some run. But it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. Did mention it's scrolling right now on the screen. It's Wednesday, which means it's Wheel Wednesday, which means you can win yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium just by going to the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel, and just hit the avatar, hit the bell. Producer Steve, you put a post in there, just hit the thumbs up on it or whatever the avatar happens to be, and then Steve will take your name, throw it on the wheel. We'll spin the wheel around 6-ish. And we'll give away a week free of RG Premium. If we get 100 likes before that, we'll spin the wheel twice. Anything else big picture wise before we fully dive in? Again, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. By the way, Dame Lillard now questionable because we need that.
I was just going to say
that. That just, man, Giannis is and I did see Giannis's one game against Wemby. He absolutely smashed them for what it's worth. And the other side, we have no Sohan, which should open up the rookie Castle, who's really, especially on DK, he's 3-4. So, again, there's no shortage. You should like every player in your lineup tonight. Exactly.
Yes.
You don't have to.
You absolutely should like every single player in your lineup tonight. You do not have to make uncomfortable choices. This is going to be, I think, one of those really, really, really high-scoring slates because the value is going to be really strong, basically, no matter how things shake out. So you don't really have to make like uncomfortable clicks. Andre Drummond is now closer to doubtful. They did release their starting lineup. Yabusele is starting at the 5. Tyrese Halliburton is going to play.
Oh, okay.
Miles Turner ruled out though.
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, it could be Obi Toppin season, and he does have power forward eligibility, so you do not have to waste a center spot on Obi Toppin.
Also, Pascal. Pascal looks pretty good too.
I don't want to play him, Dean. Do I have to?
Against the Bulls? I mean, you don't have to, but you certainly can.
Yeah, I know.
You have a bad history with Pascal?
Ever since he went to Indiana, I keep trying to play him, and it just never works. I never get any kind of anything from him.
Drummond.
I was hoping one of the guards I was hoping Halliburton would sit that we could play Nembhard easily. Even Mathurin would be a good play, but now I think it's looking like Obi.
And they have a lot of dudes. Like, for the record, they still have a lot of guys, right?
Right.
Indiana.
Right.
I see Hoosier Zang Banner is mentioning Thomas Bryant. Yeah, he's center and center only. I think that hurts him, but he'll get some run. He's one of those guys I don't think is necessary on this slate. We'll see. We'll see how projections go. There's a chance that Jared Butler starts today for Washington, who's still minimum 3K. He got there through the blowout yesterday. I know he was projecting, depending on, they talked about it on Crunch Time. I think he put up a 20 or so, which
Thomas Bryant will start in place of Miles Turner.
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh boy.
Man. He used to be fun on Washington. Remember him on Washington?
Yeah, I mean, he used to absolutely smash.
But that's like 3 teams ago, right? He was in the Lakers. He was on the Heat.
I forgot he was with the Heat.
Yeah, I want to forget it too. It was pretty uneventful.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so Bryant's going to start. That doesn't mean he's going to close, but okay. And the other part we know, we always talk about it with the Bulls. No team gives up more points in the paint than the Bulls. So, all right. We kind of did a kind of an overview, but I think it was kind of worth it because there's just a lot going on. Anything else we want to acknowledge before we dive in and do the old game by game deal?
Let's go. Let's do the game by game deal.
All right. Do we want to wait? Let's wait to see if projections change for Chicago and Indiana. Well, it's weird because we're going to jump to Washington and Philadelphia, where we also have a lack of clarity. So what's the point?
Well, we got at least we got the Drummond news. Eric Gordon is starting, by the way.
No, just before anybody asks, I don't care. I'm not playing Eric Gordon. I can't. No, we're not playing Eric Gordon, right?
I would assume not.
Yeah.
This is just not a slate where we're starving for value, so I don't really think that he's necessary.
Yeah. Steve's telling us that OKC and Cleveland, that is at lock too. Do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, we can. I mean, that's the best basketball game of the season right there. We can definitely start with this one if you want to.
We saw the Thunder take down Boston the other day. Now they're taking on Cleveland. What's interesting, I thought was interesting, but these teams play fast, so it's not terribly shocking. Right. 2 good defensive teams, 230.5. We're talking about 230.5 for a total for OKC and Cleveland. New regime there in Cleveland. They're playing faster these days. I think they're the 3rd or 4th or 5th fastest pace. 6th. Cleveland is 6th on the year as far as pace. OKC is 10th. So they're playing faster. Of course, defensively, Cleveland is 8th best, and OKC is the best by far. But Cleveland has the best offense. They have the best offense by a couple points on Boston. So front half of the ESPN doubleheader. This is also the front half of a back-to-back for Cleveland. They play Toronto. I wrote about this today, and I was thinking, I'm curious to get your take. Typically, this is one of those it's a fun basketball game. It's a good real-life game, but not great for DFS. But I think it's kind of interesting. And in part, Cleveland's won, 14 of 15? And if you look at their game log, they've just been shellacking people. And they're just resting dudes all the time. And you look at the minutes, 25, 28. And I was looking at Mobley specifically, but it's across the board for some of their guys. I just think they're going to treat this game a little bit differently. and you never know. But I think this game's going to be close, right? It's high and it's tight.
Yep.
It's ESPN where you get extra commercials, so a little bit more rest. I just think that we might get a few extra minutes, and possibly not full playoff, but I could just see a scenario. And Cleveland kind of is treated like they get no respect, right? The old Rodney Dangerfield, and kind of sort of rightfully so. Like they're great in the regular season and good for them. But you remember last year was it the Jared Allens? The lights were too bright, and they got ousted in the first round. And there's still a lot of people out there that don't believe, right? And I think they just sort of feel that. I think they really want to win this game. And I know it's they want to win this game more than they want to win a game against the Kings,
So you're not going to bet the Thunder like I might do, is what I'm hearing.
I'm saying that I just think we might get extra minutes out of these guys, and you can't project it, right?
Yep.
And again, if you look at, I was looking at Mobley specifically. You look at his game log, 31, 30, 32, 25, 31, 34, 30, 27. But, a lot of those games are blowouts. They beat the Warriors by 20 plus. They're beating a lot of teams immensely. And I just think there's a chance he plays 35, 36. And now the matchup's not great, but I think the extra minutes kind of make up for it. And he's not really going to get played. And I kind of like Hartenstein on the other side. SGA, I don't like the matchup, but he's matchup proof, right? Against anybody, that guy can do whatever he wants, essentially. So I just think it's an interesting game that's going to be not played. And again, the total 230 sort of tells us that hey, maybe you should pay attention. They play fast. They play good defense. They play fast. What's interesting to me, and I don't really buy this one, Tim. You tell me. We got Kayson Wallace getting 26% ownership at 32 minutes. I should mention as far as the injuries in this game, which is the reason why Kayson Wallace is getting those minutes. Alex Caruso is out, and Mitchell is out as well. So of course Holmgren, he's been out for a while. For Cleveland, Okoro, we haven't seen him in a long time. He's questionable. Sam Burrow is questionable as well, but doesn't really matter. What is your take on this? And it sounds like you want to bet the Thunder, and I wouldn't besmirch that. I love the Thunder. I got some futures in the Thunder. I think they're winning the title. They stay healthy. I hope it. At least.
Well, I think Dort will be guarding Donovan Mitchell, so I think Dort can win that matchup pretty easily. So that's going to neutralize one of the Cavaliers' best weapons. And then I just think that guys like Hartenstein is going to be a kind of a tougher matchup on Jared Allen as well. So I think that all in all, the Thunder kind of win the matchup battle, but I understand that they're on the road too. So I mean that kind of stinks, but they are getting 2.5, 3 points depending on where you shop. So I was kind of leaning more the OKC side when it came to DFS. I agree with you. I don't think I'd necessarily want to play 26% Kayson Wallace with all this value that we're going to have on the slate. So he likely is going to make my team for DFS purposes. I do think that this game is going to be extremely close. And it's one of the highest totals on the board. We kind of saw this last night with Boston-Denver game. That ended up getting a little bit under-owned because there's so much other better matchups, but the Boston-Denver game had a super high total as well, and people won GPPs by playing that game. So this is definitely going to be, I think, a very, very under-owned game. I did run Sims before the show. Let's see if I'm getting to any of this game. Yeah, I'm getting to about 14% Evan Mobley Dean. So
I like Mobley.
Yeah, so that would end up being, about twice what his projected ownership is. So I'm getting well above the field on Mobley. I'm getting above the field on Aaron Wiggins as well. I
don't love that one.
I don't know if I like that one very much, but yeah, I'm getting to some Jalen Williams, some Kayson Wallace, but I'm really not getting to any of the Cavs outside of Evan Mobley.
Yeah, he's my favorite player in Cleveland. If I want to pick somebody, I'm looking at the ownership stuff. Cleveland specific on DK, they're all in the single digits. Mitchell at 8%. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance he's got to put 30 or 40 points in the bucket, right? Doesn't do a heck of a lot else. but he can. Mobley at 7%. We're seeing, and you mentioned the Thunder guys, like the ones that are going to be popular are the fringe ones. Dort going to play 35 minutes. That's a lot of minutes for him. Dortcher Chamber, classic 3-and-D. But not a big usage guy, obviously. 13.
Yeah, I wouldn't play Lou Dort in DFS. But he's an amazing real life defender, though.
Kason Wallace is a 11% usage guy, and you're telling me he's going to be 25% owned on this slate? Like, come on, get out of town. I don't want. If he's on the right side of 3-point variance, good for him. Gets a bunch of stocks. Like I can't anticipate that. I just unless I'm just like trying to get like an extra piece or like a run back or like a 2v2 in that game, which I don't think I'm going to get that deep.
What do you think about Hartenstein?
I like him. Yeah.
I really like him. I like him a lot in this spot.
Yeah, I mean the speed of this game, he should get more rebounding opportunities. The Thunder, of course, on this season, that's their one bugaboo. Like they're not a great rebounding team. They've been better when Hartenstein came back, and on the other side, obviously Allen's a good rebounder. Mobley as well on the inside, but yeah, they're going to need him. I think both teams are going to want this game, and I expect it to be a great game. And again, the additional commercials, you never really know how coaches handle that or care about that. You might get an extra minute or so out of your players. I'm thinking about the possible SGA Mobley as like a mini for this game. That's kind of where I'm at. And SGA is not really going to get played, like 10%, if that.
I'm considering a Hartenstein Mobley. I would do that. I think
I'm good with that too. That too. It's so hard to say because lots of news is coming through, and we'll make our lineup soon enough. But like Banchero officially questionable for tomorrow. I think he's coming back Friday was the report, most likely. All right, we care about today and today only. Anything else of note as far as the Thunder and the Cavs? Again, like I'm not in the business of picking on the Thunder defense. I'm in the business of picking on Cleveland's defense. But both these offenses are spectacular, and these teams play fast. And we're looking at 230.5, like a really big total, one of the biggest totals on the board. And I think you'd anticipate a close game. And again, Cleveland, they just don't play a lot of close games. They haven't played a ton, and I think we're going to get some extra minutes out of their starters, or like standard minutes, if you want to call them. And I can see we can get maybe a 35 or so out of Mobley. That's kind of where I'm at. You got anything else? By all means, fire away.
No, I think we're good with that game.
All right. Did we get a chance to do some projection updates? I think we did. I think we just got it, didn't we? I'm giving a refresh right now to Lineup HQ. Looks like they get an update at 5:31 on the East Coast. So, yeah, give that a refresh with the news coming in. Let's jump back to Chicago and Indiana as I pull up my injury reports and give it a refresh. 242. That is a big boy total if I've ever seen one. 242.5. I should not slight them the hook. 242.5 is the total as far as the Pacers versus the Bulls. The Bulls are still without Dosunmu. They're still without Torrey Craig, but otherwise they are fully healthy. The Pacers. Halliburton officially in. We just heard that. Miles Turner is out. And we're getting Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant to draw the start. Expecting Halliburton, Nembhard, Mathurin, Pascal, and Thomas Bryant. I wouldn't feel confident that Bryant closes for the record, but
yeah, I mean, look at Toppin's projection.
Is Toppin? Yeah,
he's the best points per dollar play on the slate.
Ooh,
we gave Toppin 27 minutes.
I was just gonna guess. Is it like 25, 26? Yeah,
and we gave Bryant 21.
Would you not play them together? I don't think I would.
I would not play them together
on this slate because there's too much good stuff out there.
Yeah.
The odds of getting ceiling games out of both, like you can get usable games out of both for sure, but I don't think I play them together. Are they coming up together in optimals? I wonder.
I don't. Yes, they are. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to rethink that, but I'm thinking it right now on the fly. But I probably would split them. I think I would split them because they're going to be taking each other's minutes, right? I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think that's.
I would assume.
All right, start where we want to start. You want to give your takes as far as I'm seeing Obi coming in at 83%, Brian coming in 48%, Pascal 30. So yeah, all those Pacers are popping. And I don't, if you're running 150, I still think you can play some McConnell because we've seen him get loose sometimes, and he's really, really cheap, and it's a good matchup to exploit. He's not a shooter, he can get inside and kind of squirt in the lane, but of course he can get steals and assists and things like that.
Oh, and we did get a good comment in chat about Jarris Walker. They really do like playing this kid. So
yeah,
I think if I'm making 150, I would maybe get a tiny pinch, but not somebody that I would be like really trying to like get a ton of. But I do think he'll play. And if this game were to randomly blow out, he would get extra run.
Yeah. So you're more likely to play Toppin than Thomas Bryant?
I am more likely to play Toppin than Thomas Bryant. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Toppin was already projecting really well in this game, and so now I think he's just borderline. I think if I was playing a 3 max tonight, I would put him in 3 of 3.
Bulls, we'll talk about it again. Third fastest pace. Their defense is bottom 10, bottom 8. And again, they give up nobody gives up more points in the paint than Chicago. How do you feel about the Bulls? Levine, we've seen him come alive. Giddey is projecting pretty well. I don't know how I feel about that. He makes me nervous when he projects well. I don't really love Chicago. I feel like I should like somebody here, and I'm okay with some plays, but I don't think there's anything like, man, I can't believe I'm playing no Bulls. I think I can get away with it. I hope I can get away with it.
Yeah, the Bulls, I just feel like there's not enough consistency about who's going to be running the show. I almost don't mind Lonzo Ball at 4,100 coming off the bench because I think he can get you tons of steals, and I think that he can pay up that price tag pretty easily. But you never really know between Giddey, White, and Levine. I'm sure if I'm playing a portfolio of teams, then yeah, you can get to some Bulls. But me being a single entry player, a 3 max player, I likely am not going to be able to land on any of these guys. I honestly think the only one I would consider is Lonzo Ball, but we're already going to have some really, really strong value. So, and I'm going to be paying up at least that one guard spot with Tyrese Maxey. So that becomes even less likely that I would play Ball.
Tim, is there a quick answer for this question in chat from Tyler? If you want to build a set of 150 lineups and a set of 10 lineups with different player pools, how can I do that quickly on Lineup HQ? Anybody know? You could build 150 really quickly, but 10 lineups with different. You could make different lineups and then just pick up. What's your answer?
You can run it, and that'll be build 1, and then you can do a new set of settings. And you can run it. You can see that as build 2. You see it right on the top left part of the page. So I think that's actually a pretty easy thing to do. If they want to reach out to me in Discord too, I can help them there. But all you got to do is do your first set, hit build. That's your build 1, and then you could do more settings, and then hit build again, and that's your build 2. It's relatively easy to do. Yeah,
depending on I guess when you're saying quickly, it's if you want to have Giannis and Wemby in the same lineup for 10 lineups, just lock both those guys in and see what you get around that. And if you want to have Washington Philadelphia stacks, just hit 2+ Washington, 2+ Philadelphia. It depends on what you want to do, right?
Right.
If you want a lineup where you have no. And then when he says quickly, it's it's each individual set of lineups is quick, but to do 10 different iterations, I don't know how quick that can, depending how you define quickly, I suppose.
And it also depends on how many rules you want, right? Because right. So the more rules you have, the longer it's going to take.
All right. Eric is asking if weather matters in NBA. Only in the the Smoothie King Arena. We saw that a couple of years ago in New Orleans where there was a leak in the roof. And I think in Mexico, did something happen in Mexico too? Was there a leak in that roof also?
So how about this question, Dean? Would you run a bull back with 2 Pacers in your lineup? I don't think you have to.
I don't think you have to. You can. I wouldn't force it. Yeah. Lonzo's still stuck at 24 minutes. They're talking about it, chat. Yeah, they're not really gonna push him beyond that. It seems like he's been okay, but it doesn't really seem like a slate. He could put up 30, I suppose, and that's fine. But I don't think I need him today. Eddie's saying Mexico they wouldn't play because of the air. Is that what it was? Was it an air issue? I don't remember. There was something going on. Or maybe I'm just thinking of Andre Drummond and the avocado experience. I'm not sure.
I can't remember what happened in Mexico. I don't remember that game. I
might be mixing my stories, but yeah. Anything else we should say as far as Chicago and the Pacers?
No, I think we're good to move on.
Okay, so not a lot of clarity as far as the Wizards. They're playing the back half of a back-to-back. Oh, it was a fire in Mexico. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what Paul's telling us in chat. I think that's what it was. The Wizards are in Philly. 220.5 is a total. They are, imagine there's no Embiid, there's no Paul George, and still the Wizards are 11-point dogs because they are horrendous. They're not good at basketball, and Carrington's questionable, Kuzma's questionable. And even if he plays, I'm nervous because we saw yesterday he got the hook in the middle of the game. Sarr is questionable. Jordan Poole's already ruled out. This could get ugly. I mean, I just hope these guys play so I don't have to mess with it. We don't need more value, and I don't really trust Washington value. We have if-then stuff set up, but our setup is I think if all of them are out, right? Or maybe do we even have that? No, we don't have anything for Washington. They just said, you know what? It's too much going on. There's too many options. We'll deal with it when we get the news. But I don't know how you give analysis on Washington right now, but there's certainly a chance. We lose all those guys, and then, Valanciunas could be really interesting. He could be a guy that could get loose if they give him some run. Jared Butler is a guy that can get some run potentially. Would you play Kuzma? I'm so nervous on him. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him. I'm surprised he's even questionable. I figured he'd just sit today.
That's what I assumed. Yeah. I don't know why he's questionable.
Would Champagny go in for him?
I think so.
And then Joe Val for Sarr, and then Butler for Carrington. Would that be?
I think that all makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So if Carrington sits, Butler would become a smash value play. And then Joe Val for Sarr. No Sarr.
28 minutes.
What's that?
What if Joe Val just got 28 minutes? He'd be great.
Exactly. Anytime you get Joe Val in high 20s minutes at this price tag, he could easily go for over 35 to 40 fantasy points. So this could end up being a complete, value fest for Washington if these guys were to sit. I'm hoping
game stack.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. If all three of those guys sit, I'm gonna be playing 5 or 6 guys from this game. So I just find it hard to believe that you could get better value later on, even though I know things will open up like Brooklyn, and then possibly, New Orleans, maybe leave a couple spots open for this New Orleans and Brooklyn situation or this Jokic situation. But this is really, really strong value if it opens up. So, and then we already see that Philadelphia is very strong value as well. I'm not fading Maxey. I'm not fading Oubre.
Oubre looks great.
Yeah, Oubre looks really, really solid. So I know that I'm going to be playing those two guys pretty much no matter what.
What about Caleb Martin?
You can certainly play him, but that might be a spot where, I hope to bank on some news later on the night because I could see value that's better than him opening up. But if you want to play him, by all means, play him.
This is why, I see in the chat they're saying Butler, one of my favorite value plays. I don't know if Butler's a better value play than Caleb Martin. I don't know if he's a better value play than Yabusele. I don't know if he's a better value play than Castle. I don't know if he's a better value play than Delby Toppin. I still don't think. Okay, he's 3K and he might give you 23, 24. Which is not going to kill you, but I don't know, man. It's again, this is why we keep stressing. do not tell stories. Do not like, oh, man, if this happens and if that happens, I can get 20 minutes of this guy. So unnecessary. Take the clean routes. And again, like, I'm a little bit afraid about locking everything in at 7 or so much stuff in at 7 o'clock because some things may fall. Brooklyn could be down to 8 pretty quickly. Yeah, it's I feel like this is one of the more, like, I don't know, multiple pieces in play, the slate that we've had so far this year. And it'll get like this as we close in at the end of the season. We're not even at the All-Star game just yet.
Day'Ron Sharpe out.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Brooklyn down to 8. Okay. Yeah, they're going to get, I don't know what we're projecting for Sharpe, but we know exactly, again, no matter what, they got to play 5 guys. You got to have 5 on the court. 5 of those 8 are playing. Yeah. How many minutes? We were giving him 20, so those will be delegated out. Alan, yes. Alan's asking about the Pick 6 show. Yes. NFL notes. If you're playing, obviously the season's over. If you're playing wild card stuff. Myself, Rich Rebar, John Daigle, TJ producing. 9 o'clock on the East Coast. We're doing Pick 6 tonight. Looking forward to that. Talking some football. 6 games this weekend. Should be some awesome games. I was digging into doing a little bit of research, but of course I just yield. I basically yield on that show because Daigle and Rich are really, really smart. So if you're playing some NFL DFS this weekend, do listen to that show. So rules as far as Philly, you said you might be able to get to 4, maybe, or no? 3.
I'd say it's a min 2, max 3.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I think the way to be different is not play Maxey. And again, like, he's the Oubre, it's much easier for Oubre to get there, right? Oubre puts up 40. It's like, oh yeah, I'm really, but Maxey's got to put up like 60 for you to really feel, and if he puts up 50, 55, like, it didn't hurt you. I didn't need him. I don't think, maybe. That's, yeah. I feel weird because that's who I wrote up as my favorite play in the slate. And he is, like, for cash games, he's your first big spend you put in. But I think you're supposed to have less than the field in large field tournaments. And, if we're playing for first, Tim, I might not play him in my single entry, main lineup. Freddie's asking about cash, 4 Sixers in cash.
No.
Probably. I mean, you could play Maxey, you could play Oubre, you could play Martin, you could play Yabusele. You can do that.
Yeah. Like in a vacuum, they all would be great cash plays, but we're waiting on some news, and I doubt you'll need 4 of them in cash. 2 of them in cash is completely fine, maybe 3 as well, but I wouldn't go 4.
We have Eric Gordon, still minimum. Eric Gordon, 3K, projecting for about 20 DK points. I don't think I'm playing Eric Gordon.
I'm not playing him.
I'm not here to completely besmirch, because this is a game where he possibly could, Washington is very, very, they're very accommodating. If you want to get your game right, this is the team to get your game right against. One last hurrah for Eric Gordon. Put on that mixtape for his next team, inevitably when he's gone from Philly. But I don't know, man. I'm not going to say it's the worst idea, but what it really is, Eric Gordon's ceiling. I don't know. I can't. He's like my 5th or 6th favorite guy on Philly. Maxey, Oubre, Martin, Yabusele are all ahead. And they're asking about Washington players in cash. Nobody right now.
Nobody right now. I would definitely play Butler if he starts over Carrington.
Okay.
Trying to think. I don't think I'd play Champagny either way. Maybe Joe Val too.
Yeah, if he starts and Sarr's out, like something like that, he would be really, really good.
That's what I mean. If Sarr is out,
he's playable. He's playable right now, like fringy playable right now.
I mean, he's already projected for 26 points with Sarr in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really awesome projection. So if Sarr were to miss, I would say he'd probably be cash game viable as well.
7:30 Toronto, a lot of revenge going on this game. 230.5 Toronto in New York. They're 12-point dogs. The Raptors They, obviously RJ Barrett's revenge game, quickly revenge game. They're pretty healthy, Toronto. They got destroyed the other night despite being healthy. They're fully healthy. You want to count Mogbo's in the G League. New York has a Cat who's questionable. We have McBride who's questionable. We did see that Sims jumped in the starting lineup the other day, and we saw my Precious Achua got a fair bit of run, but I don't think it changes anything dramatically as far as those two guys if Cat's out. I don't really like Toronto this game. I know revenge, yada yada. They're fully healthy. I don't really like to pick on New York, generally speaking. I don't think I'm playing anybody in Toronto. The slate's too big. There's too much other better stuff. If somehow Scotty Barnes or RJ Barrett or quickly go nuts, so be it. But I'm not there.
Yeah, I think this team would be a pretty easy cross-off for me if I was making 150 outside of maybe a little bit of Emmanuel Quickly, possibly. But the other four starters, the bench pieces, I really have absolutely no interest in.
And I think ownership reflects that too, right? Yeah, ownership Quickly 6%, but that's it. And as far as New York, if Cat plays, I think Cat's great. Toronto's defense is horrendous. I assume if he plays, I assume he's a full go because his coach is a madman. Tibbs, 35 minutes we're looking at. If he doesn't go, we'll get a bump to Brunson, I suppose. Incremental bumps across the board. McBride, we don't know about either. Your plan as far as New York, I'm good landing on Cat if I have the money for it. I'm not like seeking it out, I'm not forcing it, but I like it. Center's weird today. It's like there's not like amazing centers. Other positions are better, it seems like. At least that's an hour ago. I haven't gone through everything else with all the news and all that. But how do you feel about New York?
Yeah, it's weird saying that center isn't great today with Jokic on the slate, Wemby on the slate, but it really falls off pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I landed on Cat, I'd be fine with it. I don't think I'd start my team with the idea of playing him, though. He is in a good spot, obviously, a really, really, really good spot. And that he's going to play big minutes. Honestly, though, I would prefer to go down a little bit or go up to Wemby or Jokic.
All right. Anything else I've noticed as far as this game, or shall we move on? I think this is one of the more, I don't know, easier ones to kind of.
I think this is a pretty easy game to do, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and what the news we have so far, and again, there's more news trickling on through. As always, New York almost never gives you a real update. They're telling us that Cat is a game time, and they usually tell us about a half hour before. So we're probably going to get that Cat news, not for sure, but I can see it coming in right at lock, 7:00. So enjoy that. Again, not that if he doesn't play, I'm not rushing to play Precious. I'm not rushing. Oh, it's a Precious revenge game. Oh yeah, forgot about that. And we know Toronto's not very good defensively. We'll see. I mean, maybe they give Precious the start if Cat doesn't go. But anyways, we should move on. Less than 10 minutes till we do the old wheel. We said we'll get you 2 individual weeks of RG Premium. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, the optimizers, SimLabs, all the goods, all the bells, all the whistles, all the articles, everything you can think of. If we get 100 likes, we're only at 50, I'm told. That's half of 100. That's not enough. We'll still give away 1 week. We'll give away 1 week. How do you get your name on the board? Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel. Most of our Discord channels are free. You just need a regular standard RG account. Doesn't have to be a paid account. And just hit that bell. Producer Steve has the post. Hit the bell. You're good to go. We'll throw your name on the board, on the wheel. We'll spin it. Clippers. And no, wait. Hold on. I skipped the game. I skipped several games. That is 4 games down. 4 games to go. Let's talk about Detroit and Brooklyn, the only 7:30 game. We just heard that Brooklyn is down to 8, right? Sharp is out for Brooklyn. 213.5 is the total. They're 9-10 point dogs here at home to the Pistons. I'll give the rundown, but anybody you've heard of that plays basketball for Brooklyn is probably not playing. Well, a couple guys you've heard of. Who's in, who's out as far as Brooklyn tonight? Well, Cam Johnson, of course, not playing. D'Angelo Russell is not playing. Sharp just rolled out. Ben Simmons, they gave him a back injury management. Cam Thomas, of course, not playing basketball. As far as Detroit, Oscar Thompson is out with an illness. Hopefully it's not that blood clot. If it is, hopefully that's not as serious as it was last time. Of course, Jaden Ivey still out for a while. But, yeah, Cade Cunningham is a guy that's certainly is going to look pretty good, do whatever he wants. I saw somebody in chat say they liked Jalen Duren. I just don't know. He feels like he's taken a step back this season. And then there's Brooklyn, where have we updated our projections down to 8 on Brooklyn? I'm assuming we have.
Yeah, we have. Yep.
How are they looking? How's Brooklyn looking to you?
Not really that good at all. I mean, really? Tyrese Martin's pretty good. I think Keon Johnson on FanDuel is really, really strong. Not as good on DK, but on FanDuel, he's very strong. Claxton looks decent. They all look okay. You know what I mean? Like, they're not really like popping off super hard, but they are decent. Man, I think this game is just so ugly. But with only 8 guys, like we know Keon Johnson's gonna run the point here. So I don't, even though he looks better on FanDuel, I don't mind playing him on DK. I don't think he's gonna be super chalky. He is what is he? He's point guard, shooting guard. I think on FanDuel he's shooting guard, small forward, which is really, really nice. Yeah, he's shooting guard, small forward on FanDuel. Yeah, like on FanDuel, Keon Johnson is a cash game play. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not quite on DK. I think he'd be a fringe cash game play on DraftKings. But I mean, this really throws a really tough wrinkle into the slate, because we know that we always want exposure to rotations that are this small, but you know, it's pretty ugly. Like, I think Detroit crushes them. So,
but the point is, if they do crush them, they still have to play 5 of these guys. 2 of their starters, they're down by 50 with 4 minutes to go. 2 of the starters are still out there. They have to be. It's just math.
Man, right? If you think that the Detroit completely rolls, like, wouldn't you have to play Reese Beekman in your player pool?
We got him projected for 20 minutes. I can see him getting a few more.
Right.
34 for Keon Johnson, 33 for Martin, 33 for Jalen Wilson, Claxton 32, Clowney 31. And the other way of looking at it is they only have 2 bigs, right? If you kind of look at this roster, Claxton and Clowney are the only 2 big guys they have.
I know.
So, like, I think both those guys, we haven't projected more than 30 minutes each. They're probably going to have to, take one it on the court at all times, if they even care. I mean, I'd say, like, they're trying to win, but I think they're both pretty interesting. And Clowney at 4-4 is pretty interesting. And I'm trying to think, like, who are the 5 if this game gets ugly? Well, it's this Tosan guy. It's Beekman. It's Jalen Wilson. Who are the 2 starters that mop up?
Clowney and
I think so. I think
Clowney and Martin.
That would have been my guess. Guess, but I'm not sure. But that's my guess as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running optimals right now, and 0 Brooklyn in the first couple teams.
All right. Wait, is my math wrong, or is Brandon just being a smart ass? He's saying it's just 1 starter. There's 3 guys on the bench, so it has to be 2 starters, right? Am I missing something?
I don't think so.
Is Brandon just trying to throw me off? Is that what's happening, Brandon?
I don't know what he's doing.
Feel free to clarify.
Oh, he goes, okay, 2, I need to go to sleep.
Okay.
Brandon made a mistake. It's okay, yeah. Brandon.
I've made mistakes too, so I wanted to make sure I was
troll Dean all you want, Brandon. It's fine.
It's fine. I don't know what the scoreboard is, but we got one there. Fair enough. You get yourself a monster red.
Oh yeah. So Mr. Gerg did correct me. I was wrong. Tyrese Martin is in the first optimal, but that's it.
They're all sort of fine, and like somebody's going to rise out of this. And the other part is, you got to project it. You got to put a number on it. It's really hard to project. We've never seen this scenario before, right? So you're trying your best to be close, but it's kind of difficult. I think I think if there's one guy that like beats the projections the most, is it Clowney?
That's who I was thinking.
I think it's Clowney. If it's one guy that like, does the best, we currently have him for like 24 as a median DK projection at 4.4, which is fine. Power forward / center eligible. I could see him getting a double, playing 30 minutes. Again, there's only 2 bigs, so really thin there. We see Claxton getting foul trouble all the time. You think he's got to know? They got to tell him, like, just a heads up. We have 8, so like maybe like don't hack that guy. Let him just get the dunk in if he, resist. Anything else of note, or shall we move on?
Do you like any of the other pieces for Detroit outside of Cunningham, like Tobias Harris maybe, or Jalen Duren? I think Duren kind of looks decent at 5,900, but he's not projecting very well though. So I think that there's some interesting pieces outside of Cade on this Detroit team, because I just don't think Brooklyn can hang with them. So they should be able to get what they want pretty easily. So I wouldn't mind getting to Duren or Harris and GPPs, and obviously Cade as well.
I prefer Claxton over Duren though, and Clowney as well. If we're just talking big men in this game, that's where I'm at.
I prefer Clowney. I don't know what I would do between Duren and Claxton.
I mean, Claxton has to play. He has to play, right? And
I know
Duren can get benched for beef stew. Like, there's no guarantee.
That is true.
So, like, again, maybe I'm playing it safe by giving that answer.
Right. No, I mean, your side definitely projects way better than my side. Okay,
3 more games. We'll talk about those games in a second. Also, want to mention PGA golf. Golf is back, which means your favorite golf analysts are churning out projections. You got Noto, you got SDL cards. They headline the crew. PGA content. We have articles and videos on Lineup HQ and SimLabs and and more. This month we got a sweet deal for y'all. It's $79.99. That's for Combo Pro. That's just $15 more than PGA Premium and $5 more for NBA Premium. So, of course, if you want those a la carte, by all means, but you can get yourself Combo Pro for $79 and change. Hopefully, you got your name on the wheel. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. We're going to get you a week free of RG Premium. I'm going to bring on producer Steve. I don't think we got to 100 likes. I don't know. I'm not sure. Steve will let us know. That's a bummer. That's unfortunate. That's on us.
Not even close. 72.
If we somehow get 28 in the middle of the spin, but I don't like our chances. But feel free to give it a whirl there, Steve.
All right.
Oh. Is this LaMelo Ball's brother?
No, that song's super catchy, though. My own CEO. All right.
So, Steve, you're going to slide in and hook it up and get a week free of premium in the DMs there for my own CEO?
Yep.
All righty. And
we're only at 87, so.
One last.
Wow. Only 87. We
could just stare at each other for 12 seconds or just move on. We're moving on.
Dean, did you remember to hit the like, Dean?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to fudge the numbers. It either is or it isn't. And that's how it goes.
We need 5 more likes. Let's do it.
Did you remember, Tim?
Do a 5-second countdown.
It's literally the first thing I do, Dean, when I log on.
I thought I was saying hello to chat. You're always kind to chat when there's always somebody there saying hello, and you generally reciprocate because you're a kind man. Did we buy ourselves enough time? Or that's it. What?
Yep.
That's it. Was that begging and groveling? I don't know, but we got to beg to give away stuff. Let's give it for a week free.
Super sad, but let's see who else wins.
All right, so there we go. We do this every single Wednesday. Give a week free of RG Premium away. Spinning the wheel. Jump back in next Wednesday. 3 more games. Crunch time coming in about 15 minutes or so. Next game is Portland and New Orleans. 224.5 is the total. New Orleans back half on back-to-back. We saw Zion play last night. We're not going to see him play tonight. It's tight, right? Portland is just a 1.5 point dog here. Who's in? Who's out? Well, Denny Avdia is questionable. Donovan Clingan is questionable for rest. I don't know what he's resting from, but he's Jeremy Grant. I don't know what happened to his face, but he's got a face, and he can't play basketball for like 17 games in a row or something. Again, he's out with his face. Very suspicious, Portland. I feel like you're doing some shenanigans over there. Of course, Matisse Thybulle is still out as well. Brandon Ingram, no Murphy. Murray's questionable now for New Orleans. The old midday downgrade in a back half of a back-to-back. I shouldn't say midday downgrade, because that was just reporting. You know, you get a little extra time when you play the previous day as far as reporting on the injury report. And Zion is out, so maybe they're clearing the way for the old CJ McCollum revenge game. I saw somebody say this in chat earlier, and I didn't know what to do with this either. I'm curious if you have a take. Our projection, we have a very healthy projection on JRE.
Yep.
Robinson Earl.
Yep.
We're not starting Boston. I think Boston can start. I think JRE can start too. And like a lot of us is just kind of like wait and see, but maybe you got to plan accordingly, and maybe all your spots are taken up and you only have one left, and it's somebody from, maybe it is JRE. I don't know. But yeah, do you see our projections? How do you feel about that? I kind of like Boston more than JRE.
Look how good Boston's projecting anyway off the bench. I mean, you can play Boston either way. He was one of the highest exposed players in my first run of Sims, was Boston. So if he starts, he's an absolute smash play. But even if he doesn't, he's still a really amazing play. He gets a really nice shooting guard, small forward eligibility, which is fantastic. It doesn't really matter to me if Murray plays or not, if we want to play Boston or not. But if Murray were to sit, I'd be even more likely to play Boston. I think you could play Boston with CJ McCollum. I don't really have a strong take on JRE. I don't think I'm going to play him either way. I don't think it really matters that much. We have so much value on the slate. I'm not really going to waste time really thinking over that. I had interest in Misi earlier on the day, but again, with so much value that's already opened up, I don't think he's really that necessary. I think the biggest decision is like if Murray sits and you've kind of, held some spots open, I think you have to pretty much prioritize CJ McCollum in that case.
Mm-hmm.
You want to fade Maxey, so I think you have to hold out for that CJ McCollum spot, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play Maxey, to be clear. I don't want to be on an island definitively, but I'm bouncing the idea back and forth because I just think that he's going to have a huge number in single entry ownership, and I think I could survive it. I think I might not, but I think I can. We'll see. It's just a way to build a different lineup, basically, which would be like a 2v2 or a 3v3 off of everything, all the other guys that everybody else is playing. I thought you were going to say one of the bigger thoughts as far as this game is DeAndre Ayton.
I was going to say Simons on the other side. I really like Simons on the slate, like a ton. If they're going to keep playing him upper 30s minutes against this Pelicans team, he should absolutely crush. He's the one that I'm struggling with the most at because there's already just so many great guards on the slate. So he was somebody that I had locked in. This game I absolutely loved, but then all the stuff with Washington and Brooklyn and Philly and all this stuff happened. It's kind of taking me away from this game, but I really like this game in general. I don't even mind Ayton. Atvia is obviously really solid, and I think Shaedon Sharpe is really, really solid. So I mean, there's a few Portland players that you can get to here.
Ayton was projected better earlier today. I think the Thomas Bryant, Obi Toppin stuff kind of took him over as far as builds. Yabusele looks a little better now that Drummond's out. If Cat's in, I just don't trust him. But like never gets to the line, doesn't get you any stocks. Not a 3-point guy. He's a 2-category guy, and he just points and rebounds. And he can put up 25 and get 13 and 15 or something like that and get a sprinkling elsewhere, I guess. But of course the matchup against New Orleans, they're horrendous inside, and he's the kind of guy that just hangs out, in the paint. So it's a good matchup for him. Portland, I just don't trust his rotations fully. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Portland. And you mentioned Simons, and he's in the mix. I don't know.
Simons, I think, is just such a strong mid-range play today.
You think he's going to be on one of your main lineups?
He was going to be before we started the show.
The shells been blown up.
Now I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, it's going to be such a stars and scrubs slate. So it's already at 6,500. It's going to be forgotten about, I think, just because of that price point.
We got 2 more games. Anything else of note we should mention here?
Nope.
Okay, Clippers and Denver. Not a lot we can do with this one, right? Kawhi's out for personal reasons. He's dealing with his family's dealing with the tragedy out there in California with the fires. So wish them the best. Everybody out there in California. The images I've seen, the terrible stuff. Yeah, so 224 is the total. The Clippers are 1.5 point favorites, which kind of suggests, that we're probably not going to see Joker. We don't know, but he's questionable with his illness, and Gordon is still out as well. I think we saw last night Dario Saric start was horrendous. I think we would get a DeAndre Jordan start. I think. I don't know if we need that, but I think that's what we would get or want that. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this game, but because Westbrook can certainly drop a triple-double in the absence of Joker revenge game. Murray certainly would look good as well. But how do we? All my spots are taken. Everything's claimed, so there's no room. So you got to. It's this tricky sort of planning. Is very no more. This is the slate where you really got to figure out like the entire picture, and then have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. But yeah, how are we handling the Clippers and Denver?
We already have such strong value on the slate. I'm not as worried about leaving a spot open for this Jokic situation. If I was going to, I think I'd leave it for Michael Porter Jr. or Peyton Watson. I don't hate Christian Brown, but really I think it would be Watson for me in the cheap zone, or Michael Porter Jr. in the mid range. But I don't think it's absolutely imperative that you leave a spot in the situation just because there's already such good value on the slate.
Yeah. Not sure what else we can say as far as this game. Oh, good point by Lord King Guru. Yeah, Zubac would look better if we happen to lose.
I like the other side of this game. Like I really like Norman Powell now that we have no Kawhi. I don't mind James Harden and Zubac. I think is a fantastic play if Jokic were to sit. I've got a lot of interest in the Clippers. I think that's one way you can play this game and wait for the news is to do a game stack of this game. And if Jokic sits, you've got Giannis in the next game at 9:30.
Or Wemby, whatever however you want to play that.
Or Wemby, exactly. Yeah. So like you can play a game stack of this game pretty easily and adjust to whatever you need to do. Kuzma is in.
for how many quarters?
Sarr is out.
Okay, so Valanciunas
and Carrington's in, so it's just Sarr.
So do we think Valanciunas starts?
I would assume.
Valanciunas, yeah, he's going to be interesting. I think he's going to project pretty well. Probably get bumps up to like 25 minutes or so, maybe 26. I'm not on the projection team, but I think he started at 20. Maybe projected like 20. He's going to project well.
Yeah, he was at 20. They probably give him like 5 or 6 more minutes.
Jake's saying he won't start. If they don't start him, who would they start? Oh, you know who they might start? Rashawn Holmes. That's who they might start. Revenge game for Rashawn Holmes.
I would still think they'd give Val a few more minutes, though.
Yeah. Don't be shocked if Holmes.
I don't think it's really going to affect the projection, and you might want Val out there with the second unit anyway.
They're saying Kuzma might start at the 5, which maybe because that's possible too. Yabusele is not a huge 5. That's possible. We'll see. We'll get that news probably 6:30, about 15 minutes or so. Crunch time coming in here shortly. We did get news on the show. This could be a big deal, right? No Dame. Dame is no, he's questionable. He's not officially out, but a midday downgrade for Lillard. 225.5 is the total. San Antonio at Milwaukee. Back half of the ESPN doubleheader. You got Wemby taking on Giannis. Giannis said that bleeding a finger the other day. He hit it on the rim, trying to block a shot, but he's officially probable, and that's for a different injury altogether. Otherwise, San Antonio's without Sohan. No Jeremy Sohan for San Antonio. Otherwise, they are fully healthy. Andre Jackson probable. I don't really care about the fringy. Even if Lillard sits, I'm not playing like which fringy Buck's going to hit 3 threes. So not necessary. Maybe Portis, but he's kind of priced up. Middleton, they said, is coming off the bench. I don't think of the mess with guys like Prince or Green. That's all nonsense to me. Giannis, Wemby, and then another cheapie. You want another cheapie? Stephen Castle is only 3-4 on DK.
He was the super chalk earlier in the day.
Mm-hmm. Now what?
Right. I mean, he's still a fantastic GPP play, but I don't think he's like a cash game play anymore, which he was earlier in the day. I think he's fine. I also don't mind Vassell either. I think this is a really good spot for Vassell. He's 6'3", tournament only play for me, but I think he makes for a really, really intriguing large field GPP play. I'm not sure. I don't think this is. I mean, obviously Wemby can crush 11.5 price tag, but I'm not going to get up to Wemby, or I don't think I'm going to get up to Giannis either. Trying to think like if Lillard was out,
then you want Giannis. You really want Giannis. If
exactly.
I think I'm going to get Giannis. I think I'm going to play it on Giannis.
Yeah, it's so easy to like backload with Giannis too, because if things change in front of you, you could pivot somewhere else. Would it be? Do you think it would be Ryan Rollins for Dame?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like David's asking that, but is Rollins better than the slew of is he better than? I guess we can just kind of go by point by dollar, right? Thomas Bryant's probably better. Obi Toppin's probably better. Boston's better. Castle's probably better. It doesn't seem necessary, right? Does he beat all those guys? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, and he's not stone mid. He's like 3.8 or so. You could be picky tonight. You can poke holes because there's a lot of goodness. Crunch time is knocking on the door. More news is sure to drop for them as well. I see Sam Merrill's out. We don't really care. Cleveland is starting Garland, Mitchell, Wade, Mobley, and Allen. You mentioned Bub Carrington is in. Sarr is out with an illness. And Kuzma is in. And I don't know how you put a projection. I just don't trust him. I just don't trust he's going to play 4 quarters. I don't trust the minutes. It's all nonsense. But in theory, right, with all the guys out, in theory, he's a good play. Like he's a good math play. But I don't trust it. Is that kind of where you're at as well as far as Kuzma?
Yeah. I'm not going to play. I'm not playing him.
Who's breaking the slate before we bring on crunch time?
Oh man. There are so many good options. Man, I have to go with somebody that I know I'm going to play, so I'm just going to stay with Maxey.
I wanted to say Mobley, but now I want to. Are people going to wait? So Giannis is going to project fine, but he's not going to project the way he would project until we get the Lillard news. And all the players, all your spots are already taken by the time that Lillard news comes. I think I'm saving a spot for Giannis. A little bit of narrative, like Giannis was like the original alien, right? And now Wemby's like the alien. And he's like, remember me? I'm still really good. I used to do. I can go across the court in 3 steps, not 2, like you can. And like the one matchup they had earlier in the year, was it earlier in the year? It was last season, where he put up an absolutely absurd game. But that's where I'm at. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one for sure. Let's go ahead. Let's bring in crunch time. We got chief mineralogist Kevin Roth holding it down. Neil, Orfield, and Krayton. Kristi's going to be here as well. Let's bring on crunch time. Roth, this is a good one. This is your kind of slate. It's all the nonsense, all the 3K players, full-on star scrubs. You're going to like this.
I love that. That is good news. Tim, did you get a little extra dressed up because you're trying to look a little bit more like, who was it? Was it Ewan McGregor? Who was it? We said?
Jude Law.
Jude Law. That's it.
No.
Because you're really, really pulling off Jude Law, especially today.
No, this is just what I had in my closet, Roth.
Okay. Checking. I just thought maybe that comment, you're taking it to heart.
He's got to step up his game now. Like that's a tough reputation to up to, for sure.
If I actually shaved, Kevin, then that would be me trying to impress you. Yeah.
All right. Well, the beard looks good. You leave it as is.
All right. Yeah, Roth, it's gonna be a fun one. ESPN doubleheader too. I don't know if your night is clean or not, but you got OKC in Cleveland, and then Giannis versus Wemby. I don't know if you're into that.
Yeah, I'm into that. Yeah, I may. All right, you may have changed my plans. Tonight, Dean. That sounds
What's the original plan? I'm curious though.
Whatever my wife tells me to do.
I got bad news. That's still going to be the plan. I think that's still
90%. That is probably true.
All right. Y'all got plenty to talk about. You got 40 minutes. We should probably step aside and get out of here. But yeah, this is an awesome slate. This should be a fun one. More news is coming in as well. Neil and Kristi, they got you. Ralph has you as well. Ross going to be building some fabulous stars and scrubs lineups. Myself and Tim, we appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Do hit that like button, subscribe. Don't go anywhere. 40 minutes of crunch time. It starts right now. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. The two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We're going to take you up to lock. We might take you a little bit through lock. And we have two very, very well-dressed and brilliant folks on the show. We'll start with Neil. Someone called you the Flannel God. They said, yo, Flannel God, what up?
Yeah, that was my old nickname at my old job. People call me the Flannel God. That's kind of why I made it my whole brand. Like my YouTube channel is called the Flannelverse, and it was because I wore flannel all the time. It's basically all I wear in the winter months. So yeah, I'm sort of uncomfortable with that nickname, but it was enough that I was willing to make it my brand.
Okay, I did not know that Flannel God was your nickname. I approve. It's a bit much, but I'm on board with that. By the way, Mr. Relevant says, hey, we got to shout out RotoGrinders DFS for we just took it down just as I was doing. Acknowledge Neil nailing Jared Butler.
Got kind of lucky.
What a call.
I mean, to be honest, it was just he projected pretty well point per dollar. And we got kind of lucky because he got a lot of blowout run yesterday. But yeah, I had a lot, so I was happy with it.
Very good. Brandon says Roth looks like he just dropped a 40 piece at the YMCA pickup game. Neil just cut down 12 Red Oaks. That is accurate. And Kristi looks like the high school principal. Kristi, hopefully we're not in trouble. How are you doing, Kristi?
No. I'm doing great. No, I'm looking forward to it. It is a really great slate and great to do a show with you and Neil as well. So this is going to be fun.
Always a pleasure. When your name was announced as on the show, there was like 20 people in the chat that were like, yeah, Kristi. So sorry. We got one Flannel God and then a bunch of people excited for Kristi as well. Well, we could chit chat. We could hang out because I love both of you, but we need to get into the goods. We need to get into the content. And that starts with kind of an overview of the slate. Kristi, I know we're waiting for some news there with Dame. Is there anything else that either has broken that everyone needs to know, or we are waiting to break and it kind of changes the whole slate if it does?
Yeah, well, one of the pieces of information we're waiting for too is I don't think we've got it yet is Karl Anthony Towns in the Knicks game. That's one kind of key piece because, as much minutes in that rotation that we see from so many players, that's kind of a key piece for us. And center is not all that great tonight too. So that's kind of a key piece that I think that we're going to want to know here shortly.
Okay, good note. Let's dive into it. I did see a couple funny comments. Tech9 says Kristi looks like a legit WNBA coach. We'll take that.
Okay, all right.
Someone else, Brandon said Kristi looks like she just expelled 3 kids for vaping, which I liked. And then Neil, they're curious if you have a flannel brand, as you are the Flannel God, that you recommend.
I don't. I wish that people ask me that actually all the time, and I wish I did. I see something at Amazon markets flannels to me. Like obviously it's in my search history, so they just here's a flannel you might like, and I'm like, yeah, I do like that flannel.
Right.
So I just buy them at Target, at Amazon. I buy the $20 flannels typically.
Okay, good to know. I was wondering if you had some like fancy flannel brand that you were maybe like co-invested in. No, just whatever, if it's the pattern you're in. Okay, let's dive into it. Neil, you can lead us off. We like to start off on FanDuel, and we like to start with point guard. What are you doing there?
Yeah, and I ran
hatchets.
Sorry, go ahead. What'd you say?
Someone said, "Do you collect hatchets?"
My brother kind of does. My brother is actually would be a better representation of the flannel brand, because he actually he loves chopping wood. He has multiple hatchets, axes. He's really, really outdoorsy, whereas I just wear the flannel and go camping occasionally. But no hatchets, I don't think.
Okay, this is good to know. All right, what are we doing at point guard on FanDuel? What do you like?
Yeah, so far, and I haven't done any kind of adjustments to projections. I've just kind of set some base rules as of right now. Currently, I'm getting to Tyrese Maxey as my highest owned on FanDuel, which makes sense. He projects really well for 8,900. I'm getting probably more than I'm comfortable with. Tyrese Halliburton, nice matchup with the Bulls. Shea, James Harden, Andrew Nembhard, Cade Cunningham. Currently, I have DeJounte Murray, who looks like he's a game time decision. I have to pull up the NBA injury report here in a second. And CJ McCollum, I'm pretty interested in Jalen Brunson. And like I said, I haven't given any bump to my projection, but just that game environment looks really, really strong. So I will actually boost Jalen Brunson. I'm playing on DraftKings today, so I'll be doing it on DraftKings. But he is a player that I have a lot of interest in at his price tag also. So not showing up in my double digits, but I do really like Jalen Brunson today.
Okay, good stuff. Kristi, what are you doing at point guard?
Yeah, so for point guard, obviously Tyrese Maxey is kind of a core play, I think, for cash and tournaments. Just makes a ton of sense, and he's still pretty reasonably priced on both sites. So love that. I love the Jalen Brunson call, because I was going to mention that as one of my top plays. I am playing on FanDuel tonight, and I currently have him in my single entry. And I mentioned, we're still waiting on news for Karl Anthony Towns, but regardless of that, just there's so many minutes in the Knicks rotation, and there's a ton of upside as Roth, as you know, for Jalen Brunson. So he's definitely a core piece for me too. A couple other guys maybe that weren't mentioned that I have interest in. Emmanuel Quickly, he's still pretty cheap because he's coming off of that injury. Kind of a revenge game for him if you're into some narratives, but certainly don't mind that. And you can play him at shooting guard too. I have some interest in Quickly. And then a guy too that I think is going to go a little bit overlooked is Anthony Simons. A lot of interest in that game. Shadon Sharp too is another guy that I have interest at shooting guard and small forward, but I think Simons makes a great tournament pivot there for us. Cade Cunningham was also mentioned if you're paying up. And then there is enough value too that if you want to get to a guy like SGA, and I do think he is a nice spend up option for us, just because there aren't a ton of spend ups at center tonight that usually stand out. So I do like SGA quite a bit too.
Okay, wonderful stuff. Take me to shooting guard, Kristi. What do we like there?
Yeah, so for shooting guard, a few different options kind of that overlap too over on FanDuel. I mentioned Shadon Sharp. Kelly Oubre is a guy that you can play here or at small forward. I think both he and Maxey are two really core plays, and I know Noto has them tagged as core plays. Completely agree. I think they're great options for us. Quickly, again, you can play here. Keon Johnson, I think, grades out really well. We have him projected for 34 minutes, and they are so shorthanded tonight. He has such a great price at just 5,500, so I think he's a really nice cash play and tournament play really too. Josh Giddey is a little bit of a volatile player. He is projecting pretty well in some of our optimals that we're running tonight. So he is someone that you can get to. We have him projected for 30 minutes, but he's had some pretty big ceilings too, where he can get you 50, but he can also get you 20 as well. Mikal Bridges, again, kind of waiting on that cat news, but regardless, Tibbs just gives his guys the minutes, and Mikal Bridges has huge upside. He kind of stays around that 6,500 price tag over on FanDuel. So I like that quite a bit. Mentioned Sharp, mentioned Quickly. I also think Nembhard at 5,200 is a fine play in the indie game. And then Norman Powell too is someone for tournaments. I'm not getting to a lot of him. I'd rather get to guys like Sharp and Quickly, but he is someone that projects pretty well for us as well.
Good stuff. Neil, you got a few more names there at shooting guard. Who are your favorites?
I mean, it's a lot of the same names. Kelly Oubre just looks awesome to me. I like him quite a bit on both sites. The price is just not what it should be for his role with both Paul George and Joel Embiid out. He should have awesome usage, minutes, great matchup. Everything looks great for Kelly Oubre. Tyrese Martin, I'm going back there. He was kind of disappointing yesterday, if I'm remembering right. But the Nets are down to an 8-man rotation, I believe. We just got the news that Ben Simmons is 8 or 7. I'd have to count it up. But either way, they're playing really shorthanded. Everybody's going to have to play a lot of minutes for the Nets. Tyrese Martin's just 4,800, so he looks pretty good. Brandon Boston going back there as of now. Norm Powell, Tyrese Halliburton again looks good. Keon Johnson, Shannon Sharp, Andrew Nemhard, CJ McCollum, and then Benedict Mathurin are the only players that I'm currently getting in double digits. I like the Mikal Bridges shout out, particularly if Cat is out. I think the Knicks are they're going fairly low owned, and I like the Knicks quite a bit in this matchup. But if Cat is out, I'm gonna love the Knicks in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, small forward, Neil. What do you like there?
Yep, a lot of the same players. Oubre, Martin, Jalen Wilson at small forward. Again, the Nets just playing really short-handed. He's only 4,200. Caleb Martin, Norm Powell, Denny Avdia, Keon Johnson, Shaden Sharp, Zaire Williams getting a bump with all the Nets out, Benedict Mathurin, Jalen Williams, and that is currently it for double digits.
Okay, I hate to go back to shooting guard, but I'm just seeing my best friend, Eric Gordon, is scheduled. He's got 28 minutes at 3-7. Can I play my best friend tonight?
If you think he's playing 28 minutes, then yeah.
Isn't that what he's? I mean, that's what we've got there in the projections, right?
It is what we have. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of all over the place around the industry. He's so old. Like, I don't know. Can he really play? Maybe. You can take a shot on him, but I wouldn't I feel like that's kind of like the ceiling for Eric Gordon.
Okay. Maybe Neil, I don't know if you heard he's my best friend. So I kind of
do you know Eric Gordon? Like,
yeah.
Why is
we're actually besties. It's a true story. Yeah.
That's a real thing. Wow.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Load him up. You're lying.
We pass each other at school. Our girls go to the same school.
Cool.
So we pass each other in the hallways, and in my head, we're besties. But yeah.
Yes, you are.
That's as far along as we've got a nod or two. Kristi, what do you like at the small forward spot?
Yeah, I like all those guys that he mentioned as well, that Neil mentioned as well. One other guy I threw out there too is you can play him at small forward or at power forward. But Josh Hart, back to that Knicks game, his price has come up just a little bit, but he's 8K. And again, I still think it's not high enough for the upside he brings, and particularly if Cat's out, someone you're going to want to get some exposure to. Shadon Sharp is a guy I'm getting to a lot of, like I mentioned earlier. Keon Johnson, Caleb Martin is grading out really, really well for us too. There's quite a few of those Philadelphia guys that look really pretty enticing tonight. But yeah, I like all the guys that were mentioned before, and Avdia too. Throw him in there as well.
Okay, and he is in officially according to Mean Bean there.
Okay,
let's go to power forward. Kristi, what are we doing there? At Klingon is out, so Abdia in, Klingon out. Power forward, Kristi, your thoughts?
Yeah, so for power forward, be a little bit of overlap here again too. Caleb Martin is grading out as one of the top plays here, but here's where some value comes into play with Obi Toppin. Especially with Miles Turner being out, and he actually looked really, really well before Turner was announced out. So I think he's a great value play. Yabusele, back to that Philly game, looks really, really good. A guy that might go a little bit more overlooked, we have him projected for 18% ownership, but Pascal Siakam, I think is a nice play. He's a little bit cheaper even when we get to DraftKings. I think he's 6,900 over there, but I think he's very good. Giannis, I think, is interesting as an upside play. We haven't seen as much upside from him lately, but we're still waiting on some Dame news as well. Patrick Williams grades out very well as a value. You might not need him. He looked a little bit better earlier in the day, but I still think he's fine. Again, a guy like Josh Hart, I think is fine. And then, you've got Wemby, which is really, he is a tough matchup for him. He's projected for not very much ownership, but, great tournament option. I know Noto has him listed as one of the top 3 GPP plays over there too. So those are some of the guys that I'm looking at.
Okay, good stuff. Neil, that takes us to you and your thoughts at the 4.
Yeah, Jalen Wilson, Caleb Martin, a lot of the same players. Noah Clowney you can play him power forward or center. Yabusele obviously looks great here with both Drummond and Embiid out. Avdia, Giannis with no Dame. If Dane is ultimately out, I'll probably boost Giannis even more, but I'm already getting to a ton of Giannis. Pascal Siakam, Obi Toppin with Miles Turner out looks pretty good at 4,200. Wemby, Jalen Williams. That's it for me right now. I like the call of like Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, like all of the Knicks guys, if Cat is out, are going to look awesome. I think they're all playable regardless of Cat status.
Okay. Then take me to the center spot.
Yep. Joe Val currently. I'm assuming that he's starting. I don't know if do we get that starting lineup already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it just came through. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So Joe Val looks awesome at 5,200, getting the start for Alex Sarr. Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton. Again, the Nets are shorthanded. Wemby, Hartenstein, Zubats, and that is it as far as double digits for me right now. I actually, if Towns is in, I'm gonna like Towns quite a bit. Also, he would be one that if he's in, I think he looks awesome in this matchup. Just looking at like the stats over the past 10 days, the Raptors rebound at the worst rate in the league. They're one of the top teams in pace, so the worst team in terms of defensive rating. So like everything looks awesome for the Knicks and particularly for Towns if he does play.
Okay. I don't mean to go back again, but I'm doing it. Did have Dean say, not our Dean, but a different Dean in chat, say, are we going back to Kuz, Neil? And I think he was a 4. Dean, our Dean, was mentioning he didn't trust him. Like, why can't I just play Kuz? I feel like I want to. Can I not?
He projects just fine. I think it's just a matter of we have so much really strong value on this slate that you don't really need to go to like mediocre mid-range plays. Sometimes you can get those, like sometimes if I really believe in a guy, those guys will come in so low owned that I'll kind of force some of them in anyway. I don't know that Kuz makes that list for me tonight, but I think it's fine.
Okay. Kristi, is there anything else I need to know on the Kuz train? And then take me to the 5 after that.
I agree, just because it is a little bit bigger slate and because there's some volatility with his minutes and his prices come up just a little bit too. But I agree, there's some better plays tonight for me. That's why I'm probably not as strong on Kuzma tonight either. But I really like the Joe Bell with him starting.
Okay. Yeah, he is starting a few. Yeah. All right. What do you like other than Joe Bell there?
Yep. So at center, Zubac is someone that I have a lot of interest in, especially if Jokic is out. I think he's fine, so I like that. Wemby again is another tournament play that is interesting. Mobley is a guy too. I think he's a really good option, and I'm not. He's a really good tournament play. Center is very thin on FanDuel, but I do think Joe Bell is going to carry quite a bit of ownership now for us tonight. Claxton, somebody that's interesting too. DeAndre Ayton was someone that was going to grade out a little bit better earlier too, and I think he's going to come in at lower ownership now that Joe Bell's coming in as a starter in that lineup. And then depending on Karl Anthony Towns news, if he's in, great GPP play, that's for sure.
Kristi, I've seen a few people mention Thomas Bryant. I think he might be starting here. Any love, any interest there?
You know, I really don't. I think it's okay, but center, there's so much opportunity cost, and I think I'd rather get to a guy like Joe Bell or get to a guy like even paying up like Mobley or some of those guys or Zubac. There's some other value elsewhere in that Brooklyn game that I think that we can get to. So to me, I just don't have a ton of interest there.
Okay. Did get another question on Obi Toppin from Angel Pinto.
I like him a lot. Yep. I think he's one of the stronger value plays. He was grading out really well for us on RG even before Turner was announced out. And now he looks really, really good. And he's kind of priced similarly to Patrick Williams, kind of right in there. And I think Topin's one of the better plays for sure.
Okay, good stuff. Before we get to DK, I should let y'all know we got a brand new deal for you. If you are the type to play multiple DFS sports, and I feel like most of us do. Kristi, can you think of anyone that just plays one sport? Like DFS wise, any of our pros, anyone? No. If you're in, you're in, right? Like if you're in this world, you're just in. And
I know some people who only play NFL, like outside of RotoGrinders. I know some people who are NFL.
So
like
NFL,
Two Gun only plays
if you
NFL.
Play anything other than NFL, you're also definitely playing NFL and probably other things. That's true.
Yes.
Anyways, the reason I bring that up is because we've got a great deal on our Combo Premium. This is limited time. It's a sweet deal. You get your first month of Combo Pro for $79.99, which is just $15 more than PGA Premium. It's just $5 more than NBA Premium. So you're getting all your sports all rolled into one there for $79.99 for your first month of Combo Pro. So make sure you are checking that out. Let's see. Steve says Cheese plays only baseball. No. Cheese crushes hockey.
Yep.
Cheese crushes hockey, and he also is really big into like the video game one. I don't know.
Oh yeah, he is.
I don't even know what the hell video game it is. Call of Duty or something. I don't know. But anyways, so cheese is in those streets. Okay, let's kick it over to DraftKings. And Neil, you started on FanDuel, so Kristi, you get to lead us off on DK. What are we doing at point guard?
Yeah, so for point guard, it's going to be a lot of similar names. Again, you've got Tyrese Maxey kind of leading the way for us. A great play on both sites, and Noto has him tagged as a core play both places. So really like that play. Cade Cunningham is a guy too if you're spending up. And again, there's some good value in here, so I think Cade Cunningham is a good option here too. If you're looking to save a little bit, a guy like Stefan Castle is going to look pretty good. I mentioned Anthony Simons. I think he's a fine play. And I think, let's see here, if I remember right, Boston is kind of checking in as a pretty good play too. We've got him projected for 27 minutes, and I think he's got a tag on here now too. So I think he looks fine. Your guy, Eric Gordon, just at 3K, the stone minimum. If you're looking to punt, I think is fine. Shadon Sharp, I've mentioned him too. I really like him tonight. We've seen some good upside. I really like that game environment, strong minutes. We've seen some great performances. So I like both he and Anthony Simons quite a bit tonight. Yeah, those are some of the targets that I'm looking for at point guard.
Okay, very good. Neil, I want your thoughts at point guard. I should note what Cheese plays is League of Legends. We had a bunch of people in chat.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So he is big in the League of Legends street, which is hilarious because he has he's never played a video game in his life. He has no idea. He's never seen it. He just plays DFS on it. Neil, your thoughts at point guard here on DK.
I just want to add to that because people playing NBA DFS probably know Travis Petty. Did you know that Travis Petty won the League of Legends during COVID? He won the League of Legends championship at DraftKings, which got him a ticket to the Tournament of Champions, which was a best of 40 person with $1 million to first, and nobody else wanted any money. And then he won $1 million in NFL Showdown. So NBA DFS legend won League of Legends contest and then won NFL Showdown to take down $1 million.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of people like League of Legends DFS apparently.
I was completely unaware that this was a thing, but all right, now I get it. Okay, point guard DK. Neil, what do you like?
Tyrese Maxey, once again, even after giving him a little bit of a ding in projection, I'm still getting to nearly 50% Tyrese Maxey, which I think I'm okay with it at 8,900. He just projects really well, point per dollar, great matchup. Shea, number 2 for me, which, don't love the matchup with Cleveland, but probably going to play big minutes here. Tyrese Halliburton looks awesome. Stefan Castle at 3,400 looks like a really strong point per dollar play. James Harden, Shadon Sharp, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Simons, nobody else that I'm getting to double digits, even after I gave Jalen Brunson like a 4-point projection boost, and I'm still not getting to double digits. So I still like him as a contrarian play, but you really have to force it if you want to play some Jalen Brunson. You're using an optimizer.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to shooting guard. Neil, you can lead us off there.
Yep. Brandon Boston, I am getting to a ton of Brandon Boston with a minutes projection of 30. I believe we're still waiting on DeJounte Murray news, right? So that will be I'll feel a lot more comfortable getting to a ton of Brandon Boston if DeJounte Murray is out. If Murray is in, I'm still going to have a lot because he's just too cheap relative to his projection. But right now I'm getting to just a boatload of Brandon Boston. Currently I have 96%. I haven't really done anything to adjust it. I'll probably adjust that down unless DeJounte Murray is out. Kelly Oubre, again, 5,100 on DraftKings, looks awesome. Tyrese Martin with all the nets out. Norman Powell, Castle, Shadon Sharp, Zaire Williams, Andrew Nemhard. Nobody else in double digits for me right now.
Okay, Kristi, your thoughts at shooting guard on DK?
Yep, I'm looking at a lot of the same guys that Neil mentioned. Obviously, Oubre and Boston are checking in as two of the best options there for sure. Castle, again, if you're saving money. Keon Johnson, I like him a little bit more on FanDuel, but I think he's fine if you get to him. Mikal Bridges is somebody that you can play at shooting guard too in that New York Knicks game. Tyrese Martin, again, I think is just a great value. And then Shadon Sharp, probably one of my favorite plays. I like either kind of one of him or Anthony Simons in that game environment as some good tournament options.
Okay, take me to small forward, Kristi. What are we doing there?
Yes, so for small forward, again, we're going to have a lot of overlap here for some of the guys that are coming in. So we got Boston that you can play here. Caleb Martin is looking really good. I had mentioned Norman Powell a little bit over on FanDuel for a tournament option. He's just 6,700 here over on DK. So I think that's fine. Again, guys like Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart in that Knicks game are good options here too. Josh Hart's still under 8K. Mikal Bridges has really stayed around that 6.5K range pretty much all year. So I like him for tournaments quite a bit. We talked a little bit about Denny Avdia as a strong play, but I think there's some really good value in here with Tyrese Martin, Caleb Martin, Boston are some really strong plays here at small forward.
Okay, Neil, your thoughts at small forward?
Again, Kelly Oubre looks awesome. Tyrese Martin looks awesome. Jalen Wilson, another Nets player who's just too cheap. I currently have my rule set to allowing for 4 from one team. So I think I'm getting to a lot of Nets because of that. Sometimes I'll set it to max 3 from every team. And I'm debating whether I'll change that. But currently I have a ton of Nets. I am getting to, Norm Powell, Jalen Wilson, Zaire Williams. Wait, am I in the right spot? Yeah. Denny Avdia, Lou Dort. I'm getting to a good amount of, should see big minutes here against Cleveland. Benedict Mathurin. Nobody else in double digits for me.
Okay. That brings us to the 4. What are you doing at power forward, Neil?
Ton of Giannis, and I'll be really happy with that if Dame ultimately sits. Yabusele, Obi Toppin at 3,700 looks good. Caleb Martin, Pascal Siakam, Noah Clowney, Jalen Wilson, and that's it for me as far as double digits. Even here, Josh Hart 7,900. Maybe I'll want to give a little boost to, I guess, OG at 6,200 is kind of appealing here. Maybe I'll give him a little boost.
Okay, Kristi, your thoughts at the 4?
Yep, a lot of similarities here. I do think Pascal Siakam is a really great option at just 6.9K. He checks in pretty great. Toppin, like we mentioned, very, very strong value play. I think Noto just ended up tagging him here over on DraftKings as well. So at 3.7K, kind of a great core play over there. Caleb Martin, Yabusele, all guys that check in really, really well. Josh Hart, you mentioned Anunoby. I really like getting some of those Knicks guys, getting exposure to some of those guys in tournaments. And then, a guy like Giannis, if you're spending up, I think makes a very interesting play. Always got the upside there. And again, waiting on Dame, but I think he's a great tournament play.
Let's say Dame is out. How much Giannis are you forcing in? Has he become like the best play, the best spend up on the slate?
I think he's good. I really do, because it does make a difference if Dame is out. Absolutely. So I won't get to him in, if I play in 2 to 3 lineups, which I kind of have right now, I'd probably play him in 2 lineups.
Yeah. Okay. Take me to the center spot, Kristi.
Yep. So for center, Joe Bell is checking in really, really great now, just with him getting in the starting lineup. We've got him projected for 27 minutes. We've currently got Cat projected in there too. Again, if he's in, definitely have interest in him as a tournament play. You can play, here's where I think you could play a guy like Thomas Bryant. He's just 3.2K. So I think he's a much better DraftKings play. So that's where I'd get exposure tonight, is over on DraftKings. So I like that. Zubac again. I think he was going to be a little bit more popular earlier until we got some of the Jovel news. So I think he's a good tournament play now. Claxton, they're definitely shorthanded, but his minutes are a little bit volatile. I think I'd rather go to a guy like Noah Clowney, a little bit cheaper, and we've got him projected at the same minutes, so I like that. DeAndre Ayton, I'd mentioned him on both sites too, and then again you can play guys like Giannis here and Jokic for upside.
Okay, dang, a lot of guys with upside. All right, Neil, your thoughts there at center?
Yeah, a lot of the same names. Giannis and Yabusele, who are both power forward eligible, my top 2. Joval is currently my 3rd. Obi Toppin, Noah Clowney, Cat. Again, I gave a boost to. I like Cat quite a bit if he plays. Zubats, and currently I don't have anybody else in double digits. I am getting to nearly double digits of Ayton, Thomas Bryant, Hartenstein, Wemby on DraftKings also. And I agree. Thomas Bryant just looks better on DraftKings where he's 3,200 and you can play 2 centers. Everything looks a little bit better here.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, we want to get to some questions. We got about 10 minutes here until lock. I did want to ask favorite spend up before we even dive into your questions. Neil, is it Giannis for you, or is there somebody else? Wemby? I don't know. Who's your favorite spend up?
If Dame was out, it would definitely be Giannis. I think obviously like Tyrese Maxey just is regardless. Like he's just going to be in a lot of my lineups.
Okay, Kristi, do you have the same answer?
Yep, Maxey is my favorite spend up for sure. And then I think Brunson's going to be a close second for me. I like him. And then I think I would throw Cat in there. If he's in, I think he's a fantastic tournament play.
And is it Brunson for you only if Cat is out, or you're on board?
Nope. I'm still on board because his price has actually come down a little bit, and the upside is very strong, and the minutes are there.
Right. Okay. Love that. Let's see what we've got. I am starting in the RotoGrinders Discord. That's where the cool kids hang out. Got a bunch of questions in there already. So let's see what we've got. Sean says, Roth, help me out. I'm going to the dentist. Okay. Kristi, you want Brunson or Maxey in I assume he means DKGPP?
You know, I think I'd still take Maxey just because, I just think there's such strong upside there with, I think I'd go Maxey, but I like both.
That's almost an ownership play, right? Maxey's kind of the chalk, and then if you have a chalkier build, you can pivot off of him with Brunson.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Kristi, if you had to pick one DK single entry, would you pick Boston or Castle? They're roughly the same price there, I think.
I think I'd go Boston. I do like both of them, but I do like Boston. I think he's a little bit more upside there.
Okay.
Oh, can I say one thing just because we didn't talk about it? With Jokic is still questionable. We could potentially have a really we have 3 different potential starting centers on Denver, and they're all 3,000. So we could end up wanting to play some Jordan, or whoever starts is going to look pretty good for Denver also for some late value.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. FanDuel Cash, Neil, 2v2, Nembhard and Harden, or Halliburton and Tyrese Martin?
Sorry, Nembhard and Harden, or what was the second one?
Halliburton and Tyrese Martin.
Ooh, probably Halliburton and Martin if I'm choosing between those two. I mean, for cash, and I don't play NBA cash, but I just look for the top point per dollar plays. Like you kind of look for the optimal and like who are you most comfortable with in like the top 10 optimal lineup. So I would start by like if you have access to lineup HQ, just like run an unencumbered like 20 lineup set and choose your favorite of like the top projected lineups.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. FanDuel GPP, Neil, assuming Cat is out, would you go Brunson and Boston over Harden and Martin? Would that answer remain the same even if Cat is in?
I think I would if he's out and not if he's in.
Okay. Good answer. Kristi, Carolina guy, says FanDuel GPP, your favorite low-owned stud or studs. So this pulls Maxey out of that answer. Is it Brunson then?
Yeah, I do like Brunson. I would also maybe throw Quickly in there too. I think, just getting some exposure, again, revenge game a little bit, but I like having, there's not a lot of guys I like on the Toronto side, but I think Quickly is an interesting tournament option.
Okay, good stuff. Kristi, right back to you here from Fit Crooks. It is a cash question. Toppin and Siakam, or Tyrese Martin and DeAndre Ayton?
You said Toppin and who? Toppin,
Siakam, or Tyrese Martin and Ayton?
Yeah, I think I'd go the first one. Toppin and Siakam.
Chinatown says, Kristi, are there any injury situations that could flip the slate? Well, there's a Jokic.
The Jokic one I do think is, and if you're saving, yeah, exactly. I mean, like we look at last night too, with him being out and kind of change some things. So if you save some spots there's going to be some good value jumping up in that game. I do think that is one of the bigger ones. And then of course, Dame with and Giannis is a big one too.
And Cat.
Yeah. Exactly. We still don't have that. Yeah.
Let's see. D-Rock says, Neil, DKGPP, if Murray is in, CJ McCollum or Harden? If Murray's in.
CJ McCollum or Harden. All right, let's see. Wait, what's Harden's price? 8,600 on DraftKings. It'd be Harden.
Okay. Kristi, where does Precious rank? This is a good question. If Cat is out, how high does Precious go up those, affordable big man rankings?
It probably would have been, not as high. I'd rather have a guy like Jovel, who's still relatively cheap. You got guys like Toppin, you've got, and then over on DK, you've got some value there too with Thomas Bryant. So not huge for me, honestly. I don't know if Neil has a different take on it, but he's not someone I'm getting a lot to if Cat is out.
Okay. If he's a starter, I would have some interest, but he's still he's a sub 1 point per minute guy.
That's just it. Yeah. Low fantasy point producer.
Good stuff. Neil, FanDuel GPP, your favorite net scrub, and I think you're playing a lot of them, Wilson, Clowney, or Martin?
Let me see who I'm playing the most of right now on FanDuel. Martin is the one that I'm getting to just barely more Martin than Jalen Wilson currently, and that might be positional eligibility a little bit. So it's pretty close between Martin, Wilson, and Clowney, but I think I would just say Tyrese Martin.
Okay. Right back to you here. DK Cash, Neil Yabusele, or Joval?
Joval, I think, in cash.
Okay. We want you all to hit us with the thumbs up. We're about 4 or 5 minutes until lock. Please do make sure you're liking this on YouTube. It's free content, and the more likes we get, the more eyeballs we get so that we can keep this show free. So just a little thumbs up really helps us out. Jumping into the YouTube now, all of those questions were on the Discord, and now I'm back on the YouTube, and I'm scrolling up a little bit. Kristi Mike says, Shadon Sharp or Keon Johnson?
For tournaments, I like Sharp.
Okay.
I think there's more upside there.
Yeah, I'll go to Chris's question. Kristi, Cade and Maxey or Cade and Brunson on FanDuel? So this was kind of that ownership question, right?
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm actually, for my single entry, I'm going Maxey and Brunson tonight, but getting both of those guys in there.
Love that.
But yes, exactly. But I think, I'd want to get Maxey in there. I think it would be, one of those core guys you want in your lineup for guard tonight.
Okay, very good. Neil, let's see. Just saw it and I lost it. There we go. Castle or Watson if Jokic is out, Neil? Castle or Watson?
Good. What site is this on?
Didn't say.
All right. For a GPP, I would guess Watson then is going to be lower owned because that one comes pretty late. So I think it would be Watson if Joker is out.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. DK tournament, Clowney or Obi Toppin for you, Neil?
DK tournament. Hang on 1 second. Clowney or Obi Toppin. Let's see. So Obi Toppin's 3,700. Clowney. Yeah, Obi Toppin for me.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Kristi, your favorite single entry plays besides Maxey, Oubre, and Joval?
So say that again.
Your favorite single entry tournament plays besides Maxey, Oubre, and Joval?
Like Maxey, Oubre, and Joval. I would say I would throw Sharp, Simons, and Quickly are three guys I like for tournaments.
Very good. Okay, right back to you here, Kristi. From Keith, FanDuel single entry, Martin and Sharp or Oubre and Zaire Williams?
I think I'd go Martin and Sharp. I do like Oubre though too. I think I like that one just a little bit better, but I do like Oubre. I'd get Oubre in your lineup tonight.
Okay. Neil, coming to you with a FanDuel cash question. It appears to be a 2v2. Hart SGA or Quickly Wemby? Hart SGA or Quickly Wemby?
Hart SGA or Quickly Wemby. 1 second.
Just go with your gut. Just what is your heart?
I'll go with Hart SGA.
Okay, very good. Dez says, Kristi, do you think it's safe? Actually, he just called you Chris, K-R-I-S.
That's right. My brothers actually called me that. Yeah.
Yeah, you all must be friends.
Good. I like it. That's right.
Chris, do you think it's safe to roll with Halliburton over Cade?
You know, I do think that is an interesting tournament play. I do. We didn't talk about him a lot tonight, but yeah, and I just saw that. Yep, Cat is in. So
McBride is out. Cat is in. All of my plans for all of the Brunson.
DeJounte Murray is in.
DeJounte Murray's in, yes.
Okay. So, Kristi, let's kind of talk through this. DeJounte is in. What does that mean for us? Unless you're trying to get lineups done right now, in which case.
Nope. We'll talk about DeJounte in. Yeah, let's see here. Just kind of thinking through that. For me, it doesn't really change a whole lot from that game just because I had, like exposure to Maxey and Brunson and guys like that. So it doesn't change a lot. Trying to think, Neil, does that change anything for you?
It makes me trust Brandon Boston just a little bit less. So like I was going to get to if DeJounte
he's not
Murray,
quite as good value. Yeah, maybe not
like,
quite as good a value.
I would have been probably comfortable getting to like 100% of Brandon Boston if DeJounte Murray is out. And now I'm like, all right, I'm going to cut back to get to maybe 50% or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And then, of course, you got the news. Cat is in. Kristi,
Yep.
You're still on my boy Brunson.
Yep, I am. And I still think any of those guys, even like Hart, Bridges, Anunoby, I think they're all fine just because, again, they get strong minutes. So if you had them in there, I think it's still fine. And like you said, McBride is out. But yeah. And now I think Cat makes an excellent tournament play just because no one's going to play him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, we've hit the lock. We answered a whole bunch of questions. I feel like we have done what we came here to do. Excellent work. So for Neil, for Chris, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.